Yeah, we were just talking about that. I'm thinking about it. I didn't have any plans to, but it's on my mind.
Yeah, you might just want to base it off the weather too, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're recording, and we got Brock Mason and Troy Fields here on the from the TT yesterday, US Pro TT, and both of them had really good rides, and thought it'd be nice to talk to them about the TT and just kind of have some fun here. So, Brock, now Troy, all year you were racing gravel, MTB, and crits and everything. You did the stage races, Valley of the Sun and stuff, right?
Yeah, I've done a couple road races and a couple gravel races. I did like the early season Arizona races. Then I did Belgian Wall Ride Arizona also, and then I did Redlands, and
So,
then gravel race since then. But that's it.
okay, and I know Brock, he was like 6 feet deep into this TT and didn't do anything. So, Brock, why don't you start about tell people, how it went for you and how you felt yesterday and what your numbers were and what you wanted to hit and stuff like that. Let's hear that.
Yeah, so overall it went really good. Like I was really happy with how I performed or how I rode and how I paced myself and stayed calmed on the bike and everything. Yeah, I ended up sixth place, just a few seconds off fifth, and
What was
I
your
don't I
time?
don't I think it was 39:33 or something like that.
What was yours, Troy?
I think it was 39, 50, high 50s. I should know that, but I know it was in the 55 maybe.
Okay.
Not sure. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Brock.
Oh no, it's all good. But I got a great start. Just somehow rolled off the start deck like buttery smooth. But uh, in trying to pace the first half pretty conservatively, I felt really good about it. And I was holding 4:30 on that first lap, and I was planning to ramp it up on the second lap, especially coming into the finish. But after the second U-turn, or after the third U-turn, which was the essentially kind of the start of the second lap. Coming back over the bridge, hit it hard, keep the speed up, and then I could kind of feel the fatigue creeping in. And so I kind of backed down going towards the final U-turn. And then right before I got to the final U-turn, I could feel my legs starting to cramp up. I was like, oh man, this is uh, definitely worrisome. So coming out of the final U-turn to the home stretch, the cramps hit me right when I was planning to really boost and put that last dig in. And so the last 6 minutes of the race, I was like fighting off cramps, having to stop pedaling and stuff like that. But kept it together and rolled in for six. I
So,
can't complain.
so if what'd you say your average was for the whole thing?
4:15.
Okay, so if the first lap was that was the time split they had, that like 19 minutes section.
Yeah, yeah.
So you averaged 4:30 for that. And so, man, that really, I mean, where were you cramping?
It was the top of my left quad, like kind of my hip flexor.
Yep, that's where I cramp too, where it pulls your leg up.
Yeah, yeah. So I couldn't
Yeah.
get my leg over the pedal stroke.
And had you ever cramped there before?
Oh, dude, I've cramped everywhere. I have so much experience with cramping.
Do you think that you cramping like that had anything to, I mean, why do you think you did that? Why did it cramp?
So it was it was just from the load. I kind of missed out on the past 2 weeks of my high intensity training. And so I think my legs lost a bit of like kind of the training stimulus. And there's a couple ways to pedal. Initially, doing my intervals, I was kind of just mashing the pedals and target in the power meter. But when I was out there on the TT course yesterday, I was trying to pedal real smoothly, like all the way around the pedal stroke, and that requires
You're
me
picking up
to
more.
like really lift up my feet. And
Right.
so lifting up my feet at that power output just fatigued my muscles, and I just wasn't trained up for it.
Damn. I feel like if you didn't
One
cramp,
question that brings up
yeah. What's that,
one
Troy?
question that brings up is, did you have any on the bike nutrition, or what did you do in your warm up?
So the warm up, I had a couple of salt pills and a very concentrated Gatorade mix. Um, and I did not bring anything on the bike. Normally I would try to drink some Gatorade or something, or do a gel on the start line, which honestly forgot. But the aero bottle on the Cervelo, I tested it out in practice, and it's like damn near impossible to put that thing back in the cage. So I didn't want
Really?
to risk messing
How
with
did
it during the race.
how did the bottle? So you had the bottle on the bike, you just didn't use it. Is that
Yeah, just
right?
for aero.
So it is a bit faster to have it on there.
Unfortunately, I did go to the wind tunnel, but I didn't have time to test the bottle with or
Okay.
without. But I just left it on there. I figured, maybe at y'all it would be faster or something.
Yeah, I've heard it is with a lot of bikes. I didn't have any hydration either, but I know a lot of guys brought bottles on the during the race just because it's so long.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you look at, like, you said you started cramping after the last turnaround. You said that was 5K to the finish?
Roughly, I don't know the exact distance, but I actually checked on Strava and it was like 6.5 minutes.
What was your power for that section?
It actually surprised me. I still managed to squeeze out some power. I mean, I was in mentally, I was saving up for like a 450, 475 watt boost for that last section. And even fighting off the cramps, I still managed like 430.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
That last section was crucial too. I felt like
Yeah.
worth saving a lot for that.
Why was it crucial?
I felt like there was a bit of a pitch up, and then also it just seemed like the other section was a little higher speed. So yeah, going into that last turn for me, I like toned it down a little bit, and I just saved it for after the turnaround. That acceleration I noticed like didn't feel like it came naturally, and then there was a bit of a climb going into the like 2 miles to go. There was a climb to about 1 mile to go, like super low grade, but I felt like it was one of the slower sections on the course for sure.
Yeah, the gradient wasn't much at all, but like if you're like cruising 33 to 35, like down it, with the wind or whatever, like you have all that momentum and it's like really easy to keep the speed. But when you're going up it, like if you let off the pedals for like any amount of time, like you slow down so quickly at that speed. So it's like so crucial to keep the power going and maintain that speed. Otherwise, you're just like having to reaccelerate at like 32, 33, which is just so much energy.
How was the
Um,
wind that day?
Mostly crosswind. That's what it looked like to me. Brock could probably know better. His race could have been different. I know the wind might have picked up a little in the afternoon. So
To me, it felt like it was a tailwind going away from the finish, but I don't have a very good judge of that. It was just pretty chaos for
Did
me.
it rain? It rained on Brock. Did it rain on you?
no, I got really lucky with it. The U23 guys all finished right before it started raining, and I'm not sure when Brock went, but it was dumping rain for a bit. So
That had to.
Dude, it was gnarly.
Did the guy who won U23 have any rain?
no, we all made it through. Colby was the last one to go, and so there was like 10 guys that went. Then there was like a 40-minute gap, and then like another 20 or 30 guys. Yeah, 20 guys to go, and we were all pretty close together. So yeah, we made it, and then about 30 minutes after the last guy finished, it started
So,
downpouring.
so Troy, tell us about how yours went. How'd you feel and everything?
I mean, I felt really good. Obviously, there's a lot of things I could do to improve. I think more just in the preparation leading into the race. But I did a little lighter warm up just because it was really hot out, and I knew that I could ease into the effort.
How long was your warm up?
Probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes
Yeah.
on a timer. but like a couple small tempo bursts instead of what I would usually do threshold. And usually it takes me a long time to warm up, but I didn't feel like I needed much because I started until the first turnaround. I really went in like a zone 4. It was pretty relaxed. I figured I didn't need to blow myself up in the first lap anyways.
Did you have a power meter you could see?
Oh yeah, I all I really watched was the power and speed. I would occasionally look at the time just for reference how much I had left, but I really watched the power and speed the whole race.
And what was your average?
4:35.
Okay, so the two of you are super close there. And Brock, you're 6 foot 2.5 inches, 190,
95. Yeah.
195. And Troy's how much?
About 195, 6'5".
You're
Oh, damn,
6'5"?
dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got 2.5 more inches of area on you, and Brock's bike's faster. And what front wheel were you running? You had a Vision?
I had a Vision Metron.
How deep is it?
I believe it's an 80 mil.
Okay, Brock was using mine 100 mil.
Oh, 100 mil. Dang, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what gearing did you have, each of you?
My hardest gear was a 6011. Honestly, I'm not sure what.
6011.
Yeah, I had a 6211.
That probably was a good call for the speeds we were running.
I think it was too, because
Yeah.
at that speed, the 62 is going to get your change straighter.
Yeah, I honestly didn't expect it to be that high speed of a race. The times were unbelievable.
Yeah. So, but he had the rain. So, but you felt good otherwise, Troy?
No, I felt great. Yeah, I was happy with it. Towards the end, I felt like I could have used some nutrition, which obviously you got to sacrifice some aero to be eating or drinking. But towards the end, I definitely felt a little fatigue creeping in. But I don't know, just the way my body works, I almost like can't go hard enough in the start to not do a negative split. But I think I only negative split by 2 seconds, which usually naturally I just negative split more because I don't like going hard on the front end.
Right. Well, I think that both of you, from what you're saying, did a really good job at pacing it. I mean, that's something that is so hard to do, is get the pacing right, not blow up, like 75% through it. So,
Yeah. One thing I noticed as well is with the U23s, especially, all the guys had really consistent times through the first checkpoint, first time crossing the finish line. But the best times were all the guys that did, yeah, the same even splits. Like everyone had a good first lap time. They were all pretty close to each other. But some of the guys just completely dropped for their second lap, and that's what made the difference, I think.
so I know both of you enough to know that your position changed quite a bit since probably January. Can y'all talk about what you changed with your position prior?
Oh yeah, I can talk about that for a while.
Yeah,
I've had a
yeah.
lot.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, so I mean, the most recent upgrade I've gotten is Aero Coach bars. I had just traditional bars. The only thing is I raced Valley of the Sun and Tucson Bicycle Classic with no UCI rules, and so I wasn't quite UCI legal with a 25-degree spacer on.
Did
And
they
the leg.
jig the bikes?
No, not at all until Redlands.
No, yesterday.
Oh yeah, they did.
Were
I
you good?
I was more than good. I've never seen my bike go through the jig that easily. So yeah, the Aero Coach bars really help you out on the jig, I've noticed. Because right now I have 25-degree spacer with the Aero Coach bars, and I have an extra half centimeter. With the normal bars at the same length, I would be at probably 15 and a half centimeters height. So it really takes off a good amount. And then also I noticed my full length is a lot shorter now than it was before, and it feels comfortable. I actually make it in the height category 2 for length, which might be something I change down the road. But
What else did you change?
I changed saddles. I had an old ISM that I was sliding around on. I just got the new Aero Coach saddle, and I love it because I was so far back behind the 5 centimeter rule that I figured it wasn't even worth it to have a specific TT saddle that cut off nose. So I just have a traditional Aero Coach saddle now.
I didn't
And
know
then I also,
Coach had a saddle.
yeah, no, it was pretty fairly priced too. It was only $95, so I figured I'd test it out. They say it's 3 to 4 watts faster. I don't know how you measure that, but
Right.
because you don't slide
Everybody
around.
says that, so it's it's true.
Yeah, yeah. I had to get it when I saw that, you know.
So what before I forget, if you guys are ever looking for another saddle, try the Wove, WOVE. It's like handmade in Colorado.
Really.
Dude, that thing is, I freaking love that saddle. But anyway, so what link cranks were you running?
I'm 172.5, which all my other bikes is 175. But the time trial bike, it feels really good to have 172.5s, and I just haven't changed it.
What are you on, Brock?
I used 165s for this race.
Oh wow.
Yo, dude, what's your saddle height? Do you know?
Is I could probably pull it up pretty quick. Is 380 sound?
No,
What's
No,
your
could be
insane?
580.
What's your insane?
580 then. I know. Honestly, I don't know my inseam. I have my spec sheet. I could pull it up really quick.
Like, what size pants do you wear?
34 length.
I'm actually 34 is usually short on me, but so I'm like 34, 35. I think my saddle height's like right around 850
Oh, I'm
when
832.
it's forward.
832 is my. This TT bike is 832 though.
Dude, that's crazy.
And I
832.
I just raised it though. I think it came up 2 millimeters when I got the new saddle.
832
Yeah.
from the center of the BB.
That's from the retool fit I had 2 weeks ago.
They do it from the center. There's that Wove saddle.
Oh, that's sweet. So
Yeah.
that's a saddle, yeah.
Anyway, it's something good to try. So I know so Troy, you didn't get to go to the wind tunnel, and your height, I would say it's debatable whether I think doing shorter cranks would be something to try, like for whatever you do next. It's going to lower your whole setup down,
Uh-huh.
and actually no, it wouldn't do that. If you shortened your cranks, it's going to raise your saddle, but it's going to open your hip angle up, and you might be able to get lower in the front without any repercussions, is what it would do. Because
Yeah, I was on 177.5s last year on my road bike, and I kept going further and further down. And with the shorter cranks, I wouldn't even like really focus on like the hip angle aspect, but it allowed me to maintain better connection all the way around the pedal stroke. So with the longer cranks, it just kind of chopped off that like 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock portion. And then with the shorter cranks, I was able to maintain better contact all the way around.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
should try them out. I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, proportionally, if there's someone who's 5'9", that'd be me running a 175 crank is them running a 160 crank. So I was like, maybe I stick with what I have, but for the TT bike, it's definitely worth considering at least going down to a 170, 167.5.
Yeah. So, Brock, why don't you talk about what you changed and why?
Yeah, so initially I set my bike up somewhat conservatively, like my arms wide, a little bit more upright, because I was like still getting used to the TT bike and really uncomfortable in the wind. So I didn't want anything to compromise my training volume. Because I mean, I needed to get fit on top of getting used to the bike. So just to make sure, I got my training in, I arms wide, sat up straight, and then I went to the wind tunnel, and they put my forearms together and dropped me down. I think it was about 3 centimeters, and it was pretty fast. But I don't know if it was a coincidence with like my body and accumulated stress or something. But when I got back from the wind tunnel, man, I just felt like crap. Like I attempted 5 different workouts in the 2 weeks prior to nationals. I failed 3 of them. I pushed through one despite like super, super crappy numbers. And then the last workout I did, I raised my bars back up and the numbers were okay, but yeah, I just wasn't feeling too hot. And so right before before the TT, like the lowered position, it was fast in the tunnel, but me trying to do workouts and me riding it on the road, I didn't think it was realistic that I would even hold the position. And on top of that, like my power was just like slashed. Um, and it wasn't fun either. It was like pretty miserable trying to put out power in that position. And I mean, I know we're racing for podiums, racing for national championship, but at the same time, like I wanted to enjoy the experience and I wanted to feel good about my power because like no matter what, unless I got like second place or won it, if if I saw low power, like I was gonna have regrets about the position, you know. Um, and so right before TT Nats, I raised my bars back up and just trying to get the position, trying to get the power back.
You raised them back up where they were before the tunnel?
So I raised them 2 centimeters up, or maybe about 25 millimeters. So it was pretty close, but I left my I left my arms pretty narrow, like more narrow than they were before the tunnel. So I tried to retain a bunch of the changes because I analyzed all the tunnel runs and the like corresponding photos and identified all the trends that made me faster. And it seemed like what made me faster was just like really getting tucked in with my head to my arms. And my logic was even if my bars are higher, if I can maintain keeping my head tucked to my hands, it should be, 80% fast, as fast. So that was my logic, and I felt good. But looking at some of the photos I saw from the TT, I wasn't quite doing that. I was kind of propped up a little bit more than I would have liked.
I'm so glad that you said that because I think that your head, the impact that your head has every single time, unless you're just freaking riding, a road bike, those gains are going to counteract whatever, So like, so let's say this is your torso. It's not so much your torso is here. It's your head is way down. If it did it when you were in the tunnel, when I went one time, I actually ran the difference between having my head up and like doing what I know I shouldn't do versus the best that I felt like I could do it. Did you try that?
No, we were really short on time. It was a pretty stressful process. I just had so much to test, and they had a few issues with the band on the rollers. So I mean, that was taking time out. And it was I didn't have time to test it.
Okay. So when you said you failed those workouts, were you tired or you didn't have like your mojo or you
Yeah,
didn't feel
so
on the bike?
what it felt like, it was a combination of things, and that's why it was hard to pinpoint whether it was the position or if my body was just needed rest. But what happened was like in the lower position, it was really, really hard for me to keep my posterior chain activated during the pedal stroke. And like I rely a lot on my like glutes and hamstrings for power production. And when I was bent over, like in the tunnel position, it was just like all quads.
Yep.
And so when I was trying to do these workouts in the tunnel position, like my power would be all right for the first few minutes, but then my quads would just explode. And
Right.
then I couldn't do anything, you know. And at the same time my heart rate wasn't getting up. My heart rate was staying like 5, almost 10 beats lower. So like looking at that, I didn't know if I was just if I was just too fatigued. So it was pretty stressful 2 weeks regarding workouts leading up to nationals.
Sounds like it. I'm really glad that you made those changes though, and not just said, not were hard headed and just stuck with it. I think that you would have had a terrible ride.
Yeah, because before I went to the wind tunnel, I mean, dude, my power was like really good. I was super optimistic and feeling really strong on the bike.
You know what he's talking about, Troy, about getting so low that you're basically just isolating your quads.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's one thing with TT. It's just so hard to find the balance between being able to do the power and being aero because I feel like they're really equally as important. But yeah, it's just such a complicated thing.
So what tire setup were you guys running? Troy, what'd you have?
I was on the VeloFlex Record TLR.
Did you have them run tubeless?
No, I'm running latex tubes. Yeah, I actually flatted a latex tube just standing around and just exploded the day before the race. I've got
Shit.
one Vittoria in the front, and then the back's a green one. I think it's an old Vittoria. I'm not really sure.
What width tires?
I'm on 25s.
25s all around.
I was just praying it doesn't rain with those things on.
Yeah, what pressure?
95.
95 on a 25, and you're 195 pounds. If anything, yeah. And you, Brock?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I had the GP 5000s, the TT versions. Front and back were both 25s. The rear was set up tubeless. I was gonna set the front up tubeless, but it had a hole in it, and I mean, it was like a brand new. Well, I had like a couple weeks training on it, and I was using it with a tube. And then when I went to set up with tubeless, apparently it had a hole.
Wow.
So that was like kind of freaking me out. And I was gonna run. I had bought the original GP 5000 23 millimeter to run on the front, but it was a brand new tire, and I knew it was like gonna rain, or it was forecasted to rain, so that just really sketched me out. So I left the used 25 on there, and I was
good.
running about 92 psi in the rear, and initially I pumped the front up to 90 psi because it was sunny, and then within 10 minutes it started raining. So on the start line I just let some air out of the front. I don't know how much.
So do 23s test better in the tunnel on Aero Coach front wheel?
That's what Aero Coach says, but if you look at the Pro Tour riders and all the photos, they're running the 25 millimeter TT. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
Their TTs are also pretty
rough.
got some pretty aggressive cornering in them too.
Yeah. And I wanted to run the 23, but I didn't want to use the new tire in the rain.
Two questions I had for you. The first one is I was wondering how much of a difference it made when you narrowed out your Aero Coach bars in the tunnel.
I could pull that up in like 2 seconds. I want to say it was like 10 watts, but or it might have been 15, but I could tell you. I have, dude, because like I analyzed all this stuff I spent hours.
Really?
You bring them?
I had too is when I switched to Aero Coach bars, I had to put them a lot wider just because I had to have an expanding plate, and that was the only way I could set them.
So you were forced to run them like that?
Yeah, it felt good though.
It is comfortable, yeah. Cancellara always used his bars wide, but he kind of retired before everybody got super aero.
Brock, you should sell your bike to Troy. He wants to get rid of his shitty bike.
Dude, I'm not opposed to that, but it's really funny you mention that because every single year since 2017, I've sold my TT bike right after nationals, and this is the first TT bike I was like, all right, I gotta keep this thing. I can't sell it.
Yeah, if you put it through the wind tunnel too, you made the investments on it, you might as well hold on to this one. Are you in a new P5?
Yeah. So narrow was 15 watts.
Golly, that's a lot.
Crazy. I guess
and then when
I gotta work on.
Yeah, and then when I dropped it 10 millimeters, it was only 5 watts. But we have to So, we didn't really test my original position because I had those 10-degree wedges under the armrest because Aero Coach said you needed them for the UCI regulations. And those wedges raised the rear of the elbow pad 2 centimeters. And that's how I'd been riding. And then when I got to the tunnel, the dude said I didn't need those wedges. So he like immediately took the wedges off. So like from the start, I went into the tunnel 2 centimeters lower than I'd been riding.
Wow. And then when you
But
said before you dropped it 3 centimeters, was it plus that too?
no, it was 3 centimeters in total.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
From what I've heard, it sounds like dropping the front end to like a ridiculously low position doesn't sound like it makes a huge difference. You tested that too, Matt, right? And
It was about the same. It was like, so from initial to one or two, I want to say it was like 5 or 7 watts, and then we did it again another centimeter, and it pretty much didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like better and better and better and better, you know?
And I'm guessing that has a big effect on your power compared to probably as much as the width of your armrest.
So one thing to think about is if you're going, let's just call you're tucking your head like a turtle head, okay? So if you're going to turtle head, if your torso is too low, you won't be able to get your head down into that position. If your torso is like a little higher, it actually makes it easier to bring your head down. So you can get so low that your head position doesn't work right. Have you felt that before?
Yeah, so I totally agree with that observation. And that's how I was like wanting to ride, hoping it would be fast with me higher up and shoulders
All right.
tucked in. But if you look at like even McNulty and like Ghana, they are so low, like their shoulders are so far pulled down, like they're not turtling at all. Like their
No,
shoulders are just down.
that's
Uh,
true.
and so I mean that's like a counter argument, and I mean who knows what's better in the real world.
Yeah, they couldn't shrug their shoulders anyway because they're completely extended just to reach the cups.
Hmm.
Did anybody know what McNulty averaged?
Power wise, no, I
Yeah.
have no idea.
413 last year.
And he's what, like 140 pounds?
Yeah, he's not heavy, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's not talk about his weight.
Yeah. And he's short too. I've never seen him in person, but he looks pretty short.
He's actually taller than you would think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at a pizza restaurant last night. Actually, he didn't seem like he was too short. I don't know, maybe 5'11" or 6 foot, but
Yeah, I was gonna say 5'10", 5'11".
So what could you guys have done in hindsight to get any faster for yesterday besides cramping?
So I analyzed my ride on Strava and compared it, I think, with Tyler Stites, and there was some other really fast person that had their ride and power put on Strava, and these two people went faster than me, and their power profile was like very flatlined, like it was impressively flat. And I ride like that in training, doing threshold work, because you could sit at that limit. You could sit much closer to the limit and average higher power overall. And yesterday, with that bridge, like my kind of philosophy on going fast is that acceleration takes so much more energy than maintaining speed. So with the bridge, I like really boosted, like I went as hard as I reasonably could to minimize deceleration, and then also went as hard as I reasonably could over the backside to maximize acceleration on the down part. And so, and likewise, like whenever I got a tailwind, I would hit the power to capitalize on that acceleration advantage. And so I was, kind of boosting into some anaerobic power like zone 5 off and on throughout the entire race, which meant in the more steady threshold portions, my power was lower. So looking back, I think it would have been interesting to just flatline it, try to average closer to 430, maybe even 440 if I never spiked, and see how fast that would have been.
Because when did you ever go and do a 40-minute steady state effort in training?
No, I did a bunch of 2 by 20 minutes, and that was my plan. I was hitting these like really intense like 2 by 20 threshold intervals with aerobic or with anaerobic spikes in there initially in training. And then the last 2 weeks I kept trying to do like a full-on TT sim. Like I wanted to go out because I had a 10-minute section of flat fast road where I was averaging like 31 32 in training. And so like I kept wanting to go out, do like 10 minutes at 4:15, 10 minutes at 4:30, 10 minutes at 4:50, and then try to do 10 minutes at 4:75. And dude, like those were the workouts I kept failing. Like, and I was like cracking at 4:20. Like my legs were blowing up at 4:20. So I never got around to it before the TT.
Yeah, what you said about that pacing strategy was exactly what I tried to do. Just going hard and like over the climb, hold the speed, and then I would ease off on whenever I'd be going faster. I would ease off the power. Really
Yeah.
watching the speed pretty closely during the race. And yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like in training, I have a really hard time doing my race power on the TT bike. I don't know what it is, but like the 6-minute efforts I do in training are really what I try to base my race power off of. I don't think I could possibly do a 2 by 20 and have anywhere near the power that I did in the race. Like
Well, how many sixes were you doing?
I would usually do 2 sets of 1 or 2 10-minute tempo intervals. And then on the biggest day, I think I did 2 by 6 after that twice. So like 4 6-minute efforts.
So 24 minutes.
So you
Usually I would do one 6-minute effort in each of the 2 blocks. So only 2 in the whole ride.
Wow.
So you're not even hitting the race volume in your
Not
training.
even close. Not even close. Not
Dude,
not
that's
that
insane.
Dude, I don't know if you're like, yeah, no,
See, I always hit better power in training than I ever have in racing.
really. Another thing for me,
Yeah.
I was in altitude in Grand Junction until 2 weeks ago, and I did 1 set of efforts as soon as I came home, and I felt like my tempo was like zone 2 at sea level. It was crazy.
How high
That's
is
so
Grand
sick.
Junction?
Only 4,800 feet. So
That's enough to have an adaptation, though.
But on the time trial bike, I think it makes even bigger difference. I'm guessing you just don't get as much like air capacity breathing, but it is so hard to do threshold efforts on the time trial bike at altitude for me.
I've never been to altitude.
Yeah,
Don't go.
Yeah.
Are both of y'all going to do it next year?
Do time trial?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Hopefully I'll come back with a more dialed setup, more dialed race plan, everything. That's the goal.
Every year I tell myself this will be the last year, but here we are. So I'll probably do it next year.
Brock, are you going to do like any just normal road racing the rest of the year?
Oh yeah. I'm excited to race again. I don't plan on like taking it as serious as I have in the past, unless I'm able to get away from work and go to Belgium again. But I like at this point I've learned so much. I like really have fun racing, and so I just want to do it to have fun, you know.
Well,
one I have for you, Brock. Oh yeah, go for it.
You know, people say I just want to do it and have fun, which implies that you're not disciplined and you don't follow a program or a schedule, and you just go with the wind. And that's not Brock's way of having fun. Brock's way of having fun is disciplined, serious.
Well, I mean that's been
I think
that's
let
been
me
something
interrupt.
on
I think when Brock says just have fun, it means he's not putting any pressure of expectation of a result. It just means it doesn't matter what his result is. It's the process. But his process is really is dialed.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I could I mean, dude, I could train like the most disciplined, world tour rider, like or whatever. Like if I got the time, like I'll do anything. But at this point in my life, I mean, I'm like 33, I got a good job. Like after Belgium, no pro teams want me. So like I'm not like no matter what I do racing wise, it's not going to get me anywhere else. So I have to like look at it as I'm sacrificing like my life to be 5 or like maybe 10% more competitive to literally only get results that aren't going to have any other significant meaning to my life. So when I say like I'm not taking it seriously, like I want to enjoy other aspects of my life. Like I don't want to prioritize riding 20 hours a week over everything else. Now, if like, like UAE gave me a contract or something, that would be completely different. But I work full time, and so I'm having to make like major sacrifices to train at this level.
I love Brock's outlook, sincerely. Like, you don't hear, he thinks about it. I don't really voice it, but I pay attention to what he says and writes and stuff. And I really value his outlook because to me, Troy is in a different position because of his age, but I think Brock has a really mature outlook on the whole thing. And I really respect that a lot. Troy, you're like trying to really go to the next level, right?
Yeah, I'd really like to. I mean, I figured time trial is a great thing to invest in if you want to show potential. So I've really tried to put more work in my time trial over the past 2 years so I can get on a road team. But if that doesn't work out, my goal is to fall back on gravel and race that. So
Dude,
however I continue on racing is the goal.
so Artem beat you, right?
Yeah, he did.
If you what do you think? Do you think that the result you got is going to do what you wanted it to do, or you would have had to done better?
No, I think that'll definitely be some ground to stand on. If I can back it up this week, I think it'll be amazing. But people really are looking for a national champion. So
Well, that's a good point.
there'll definitely be some ground to stand on. But a national championship would have been the ticket.
So let's talk about that. That bike that you're on, is that a P3 too?
Yeah, it's a P3.
What, like a 2017 model?
I I think it is a 2017.
Yeah, because it's rim brake and everything. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, great.
it
But it makes
if
no
you
sense.
dig into the forums and everything, people will say that the rim brake version at some point was faster than the disc version, but I'm not so sure that that's true anymore for the one that Brock has. I think that they've reversed that now, and his is faster than the rim one.
Really,
I think the newer ones are faster at yaw, which means they're probably faster in real life because I did a ton of digging before I bought mine, and I was actually really close to buying like that old P4, I think, which is like more of like the track looking bike. But it's hard to know what's real. And I feel like me and you, like I feel like you could hop on my bike and race it. And so like I tested my bike alone in the tunnel. So if you have tunnel numbers on a bike itself, I could give you mine and you can like compare it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. To see how much you'd be faster on.
I know the what are we talking about? The Rim P5 is comparable, Matt, or are we talking about the Rim P3?
The P3 is their TT bike, no?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, it's the slightly cheaper version of the P5.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. But the shape is the same, right?
roughly. The
Okay.
P5 is a lot more like curves and I think
Okay.
a little more advanced.
No, I don't know
P5
enough.
has a lot more surface area on the sides.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it to quote me. I'm just going off what I like. There's some time trial forums and the guys really geek out on it, and I've seen that. But like Troy's bike has exposed cable routing, and the Josh at Silka, he did some testing on exposed routing and said that for every foot of exposed cable routing, it was like 10 or 15 seconds on a 40K. And you've got a good bit on the front end of that bike.
Yeah, I did my best to tape it up before the race, but you obviously can't cover everything. Like I taped the Di2 cables to the stem and I did what I could, but yeah, there's definitely some that's exposed.
Yeah, you have gains on in that regard that because you're looking at a minute from you to Artem. Will he be in the same? Will he race U23 next year?
Yeah, he's actually a year younger than me. So that's
You got to
another
deal with him again.
yeah, no, that's another benefit that he has, and that'll be really good for his career for sure.
So before I forget, did either of you do sodium bicarbonate or any other supplements to get
No,
a
I
better?
didn't. I did think about that.
You
And
should
honestly,
have.
a couple years ago, I used Lactigo before the race, and my legs felt amazing.
What
So I
about
thought,
you, Ron?
I used this Swiss RX nitric oxide before the race, and I don't know if it like actually works or not, but I'll tell you, like when I was hitting inter good power numbers on my intervals before the wind tunnel, I was using it and I had good power numbers, so I kept using it. And I actually had somebody recommend that Morton sodium bicarbonate mix, which I purchased is so expensive. And
Yeah.
I wanted to use it in training, with 2 weeks to go, but like I said, like I failed every freaking workout. And one of those workouts, I tried it and I failed the workout, so I didn't
Right.
use it again.
Okay.
I did take beetroot in the morning, and I've tested some nitric oxide before, but I want to try the Swiss RX. I haven't tried that, but I just use
Okay.
beetroot in the morning.
So the sodium bicarbonate, you know how it works. It's a pH issue with the lactate, the acid, and the sodium bicarbonate is a base. So it's in the pH scale, it's trying to equalize that acid. And I used it all of last year, I think, and even some before that. It's about $12 a serving. And I think that is something, there's a lot of snake oil and smoke and mirrors and all this supplement stuff. And it's hard to really find anything that's a validated way to look at it. But of everything I've done, I feel like the sodium bicarbonate is something to do. And the way that the nitric then what do they call it, nitric oxide,
Yeah, nitric oxide.
or whatever it is, the ingredient in that is doing the work is called citrulline, L-citrulline, and you can buy that on Amazon, just like I forget the supplement brand, but you can just buy that ingredient and save a ton of money. Instead of the Swiss RX stuff, super expensive, but if you read the ingredients, that's what makes it work. And I used it too every time I was using the bicarbonate as well. And I don't know if it does anything or not, but that's one question I wanted to ask you guys.
I will say, in 2022, I was using the just straight baking soda.
That's
Uh,
gonna screw your stomach up.
I've heard
well,
about
I didn't have any issues with my stomach. I have an iron stomach, which is actually unfortunate. But I was using it heavily in 2022, and I don't know if it could be attributed to the baking soda, but I was like ripping that season. Like I was flying. But I had to stop. I stopped taking it because the last time I used it, like this, it was so hard to stomach, like while drinking it, like I almost vomited. Like it made me nauseous just drinking
So
it. So I had to stop after that.
have either one of you done the Morton sodium bicarbonate?
I haven't tried it.
Okay,
I
so
tried it once. Yeah.
the baking soda ingredient is just in those hard pellets, and the pellets mixes with like the gel, and it's the same similar gel that's in their gels and their drinks. It's an alginate. We actually use alginate here in our business. Alginate is made from seaweed. So if you grind up seaweed, it makes like this jelly. It's like a jelly consistency, and that jelly, Morton says, is transporting those pellets through your stomach without being absorbed through the stomach, and it gets it to your small intestine where it can be absorbed without giving you all whatever it does, diarrhea or whatever. I've never done just the baking soda by itself. And if you pay attention to some interviews and stuff of world tour guys, they're bringing that up. They mention it. So who knows? I mean, I feel like it worked great. But anyway, so Troy, you're going to do the crit tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm doing the crit this evening. Actually, it starts at 8:45 tonight.
Oh,
So, yeah.
wow. What an honor that you're sitting here staring at us and you're racing tonight. What's your plan for tonight?
I mean, unless I find the opportunity, sit in and save energy for the road race Saturday morning. But yeah.
And don't crash.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to get too excited, but luckily it's gonna be dry. If it was wet, I don't think I would race. It seems like a lot of the favorites for the road race aren't gonna do the crit, but we've got a day of rest in between. I figured I might as well give it a go.
And the road race is like 120 something miles.
No, it's 148K. So yeah, just over like I think 93 miles.
But the pros, how long?
Oh, the pro race is really long.
Yeah.
I'm racing it. I don't know how long it is. Don't tell me.
Maybe 215K. I'm not sure.
Oh, geez.
It's a long one.
I could be totally wrong on that. I just rode the course this morning though.
How are the climbs?
The climb on the north side of the river is super steep, and then the descent, if it's wet, it's going to be really sketchy. But the other climb that's off of the TT course isn't too bad. It's a really good course. They did a great job with it. It suits different people for sure.
Yeah. Does it suit you? Because we're pretty similar, it sounds like.
I don't know. I don't think the steep climb does, that's for sure. But it's nice to have a course that's exciting at least.
Mm-hmm.
Windy roads. I'm a little worried about the descent in the rain for sure. I think whoever's at the front going into it's going to be at the front coming out of it for sure. I think it could get really slick, but yeah. I'm excited for it.
Before we wrap it up, Brock, did you test skin suits when you went?
I did, yeah.
So what'd you end up running yesterday?
The original Velotech skin suit that I've had since 2019.
Was it fastest?
It was. I tested the Velotech dynamic suit with the hub base layer, and the Velotech dynamic with the base layer was essentially the same at 0 yaw, but it was slower at yaw. And I think the one I tested, it was a little bit too small for me, and I think I just stretched it out too much for it to be fast. And then also purchased the hub, their really nice skin suit, and with their base layer, and that was actually slowest.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just goes.
Well, I guess it was slowest at 0 yaw, but it was kind of on par at yaw.
I want to see how that new Castelli base layer test, because we wore our Verge skin suits and there's not a lot of ribbing on it. It's a really comfortable suit, but I wonder how it does without a base layer. I didn't have a base layer yesterday, but I'd really like to test a Castelli base layer in there and see how it does.
Yeah, the base layer didn't really work for me, but the guy was saying like you have to be really particular with how you align the strips on your arms.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What about helmets? I noticed you're wearing the Specialized helmet, and it looks like it just goes really, really good with your position. But some people I've noticed the back of it's not aligned with their back. But I was wondering if you tested other helmets or.
Yeah, so they were saying it's like super, super individual. Like I had the complete opposite helmet results of someone else that's like the same size as me. So I went in there with the Met drone, and that was good. But when I tried the TT5, it was 6 watts faster at 0 yaw, and another like 9 watts faster at yaw.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And also, you also had the Cask Mistral, and I had the Pro Aero visor to test with it. But the Cask Mistral with the regular visor was 20 watts slower than the TT5.
No way! I'm wearing a Mistral.
Yeah, and it was 30 watts slower at yaw.
Did What was the difference in visors? I've always wondered about that.
I wanted to test it, but the dude said it's not even worth it. He said it's like 3 to 4 watts.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't believe that. Now I feel like I need to get my helmet tested. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean it's so individual, so who knows?
Yeah, I've also heard the TT5 is one of the best helmets in the sighting position. Did you do any tests with that?
In the what position?
Like when you're like looking up, looking forward.
No, every run I kind of was holding my perfect position, which in hindsight I think was a mistake
Uh,
because
yeah,
I was trying to game it and just get the lowest CDA numbers possible, but
yeah,
that's not realistic.
yeah.
So on that note, like, what percentage of that ride do you think you spent seeing down the road
Uh, uh,
versus you can't see down the road?
I could see a few feet in front of me. Like if I lifted up my head, I could see further away. But yesterday I was kind of seeing, I guess like 10 feet in front, just kind of gazing down.
But did both of you have drivers? Troy, you had a driver?
I didn't know.
I think that's a game changer right
I
there.
think it's too. Yeah, and I don't think they're really staying true to the 80-foot gap. I saw some cars get close to their riders.
Oh, in a race like that, they're not going to regulate that
Yeah.
like they should.
Uh-huh.
That makes a big difference, Troy, having somebody in your ear saying, you need to look up or
And having a radio in the front makes a big difference too. So yeah, I would like that as well. Just with a fair.
Did you put your radio box in front?
Yeah, I put it right on my heart rate monitor.
Nice.
I didn't. I wish I had, but I heard they were cracking down on that if you didn't have an earpiece in.
Mm.
But yeah, you live and you learn. Next year I'll definitely have a follow car if I can, and have a radio for sure right there and an earpiece.
So, Troy, I feel like you could win that with a little bit of changes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could definitely put a lot more work into it. A lot of room for improvement.
I do too. Like if you focused more on it with your training and you got to the tunnel, tested some helmets, maybe get your dad to buy you a new bike, wink, wink. Some of that stuff, I think, you're in the minute range on 40 minutes. That's not too much.
Yeah, no, I definitely have a list of things I could fix. Like I had to borrow my friend's shoe covers; were a couple sizes too small, and they slid down. So I just try to order a pair of no pins. They just didn't come in time. But yeah, a few other things too, just small tweaks. But who knows? I'll have to go to a wind tunnel to really see what was costing me. But I'd love to have a breakthrough like you had with the helmets, because I realized the Mistral was 20 or 30 watts slower. That's
Well, it is for him. You can't generalize.
Yeah. He said there's somebody else the same build as me, and he had the opposite results. He said like the TT5 was like 30 watts slower on him. So
really,
and the Mistral was fastest for him. Yeah.
Those big in numbers, like
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. Yeah, I've always wondered about that helmet because you can't even get one now. They sold out so fast from Specialized.
Yeah, dude, I was panicking because like during in the spring I was or early spring I was looking at it and it was like in stock, and then I went to the tunnel and that's what was fastest on me. So like literally within 30 minutes of leaving the tunnel, like on my drive home, I was like calling all the bike shops, like checking online, and I couldn't get it. And I was like, shit, like what am I gonna do? And a couple weeks before I ended up like putting out some messages on the Facebook groups and was fortunate to have somebody reach out and sell me one.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for doing this. This has been fun.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
It's good to see your pretty faces. I wish you the best. I mean, I wish that I was still in shape and I could have gone and showed y'all how great that you really are on the TT bike yesterday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting Sunday. I mean, that's a real test of everything you've got. So don't leave no regrets. Leave no regrets. It's all it's all about. Leave no regrets.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal for
Yeah,
sure.
man. Have fun tonight and good luck Sunday. or
Yeah.
whenever you were doing the road race?
I'll actually be in New York City on Sunday for Grand Premio. So I'm gonna race Saturday
wow.
morning, go down to New York Sunday for that race.
Nice.
But
I
yeah,
thought
good
they
luck.
canceled that.
No, they've got a UCI race in the morning and then a Grand Fondo in the afternoon.
Oh, they canceled the other one, the classic thing, Maryland
Oh.
Classic, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow.
I'm excited about it. It's a long drive Saturday after the road race, but it looks like a fun race, and it suits me better than the pro race. So
Yeah.
You're 20 years old. You'll be fine.
yeah, I just wasn't really
Yeah.
excited about racing pro nats though. I'll give that another year.
Did you got so much time? I didn't even start riding bikes until I was like 21.
Really. Where do you live again, Brock?
In Athens, Georgia.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah,
probably
where are
asked.
you?
Well, I go to school in Grand Junction,
Oh,
but I
that's
just
right.
come
That's
the
right.
summer to Nashville. So
Yeah.
yeah, Grand Junction is like the best place to ride a time trial bike, though. So many just straight flat roads in the valley.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I had no excuses on that front, but I still should have ridden it more.
Okay, guys. We'll talk to you later, okay?
All right,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
ya.
Thank you,
Bye.
Matt.
You're welcome. Bye.